I am Beth Schaefer, a member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I am here today with candidates running for the office of Montgomery County Commissioner. There are two candidates running for one open position. Those candidates are Judy Dodge, the incumbent, and Arlene Setzer. Unfortunately, Ms. Setzer, candidate for this position, regrets that she was unable to participate because of a prior commitment. We like to start our interviews by having the candidates tell us about themselves and why they chose to serve in this position as Montgomery County Commissioner. So let's hear your story, Judy.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much for that. You're doing this. Thank you, Beth. I'm Judy Dodge. I am the incumbent. I have been a county commissioner since 2006, and I have run every 4 years, and I've been there now 14 years. Before that, I was county recorder from 2000 to 2006. You know, one of my passions is the vulnerable population here in Montgomery County. I can remember as a child, my grandmother was a bus driver for, at that time, it was called the Department of Mental Retardation. And I remember her stories. She'd always call them her children. And she would pick them up at their home and take them to school. And they were like teenagers. And several times a year, my father would take me to the school because my grandmother then would be the aide in the school. And basically my grandmother would impress upon me how lucky I am that I didn't have any of the disabilities that these children had, and to always remember this, that there are so many people that need our help. That has always stuck with me. So when I became county commissioner, I became co-chair of the Human Services Levy. And over the years, we have passed those levies at a nice margin. So I'm very supportive of the vulnerable population here. And it bothers me that individuals, especially children, don't have enough to eat every single day. And I am constantly working on that with the Food Equity Coalition and, just other things in the community. So I want to win again. I want to run and win again. I feel very good. And, we still have a lot of work to do.
Well, as you know, the duties of county commissioners are numerous, from utilities to zoning, communications, community planning, and creating budgets. How does one prepare for this position, and what part of this position is most important to you?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you ever prepare for the things that we have gone through this past year or so. You just kind of have to hit the ground running. You depend on the other commissioners. You depend on your staff as well as our county administrator. You take a deep breath every day because you never know every single time you come to the office what's going to happen. Because as you know, we've just had such tragedy after tragedy this past year with the shootings in the Oregon districts and the tornado and now the pandemic. And there are just so many things that are just so heartbreaking. But we have to pick ourselves up, and we look at how we can help our citizens here in Montgomery County get through these things, through a lot of different things. And one of the things we've been fortunate, even though we have had to cut our budget by about $30 million, we have been able to secure federal funding through the CARES Act. And that has really, really helped. We put it's about a total of about 92 million, and we have put about 30 or 40 million just into small businesses, because these small businesses have lost so much. They've had to close their doors and things like that. So we have opened up a temporary office and asked people to submit all sorts of paperwork. And again, you have to remember this is federal money, so we have to make sure, absolutely sure, that every single T is crossed and every single I is dotted. So we work very hard to make sure these small businesses can get the immediate relief that they need, because this money ends the end of December. So, and if that money is not spent, it goes back to the federal government. So not only small businesses, but also we put money into people with rental problems and helping them be able to stay in their apartment, as well as utility payments that are low, that they've not been able to pay for. Nonprofits. So there's all sorts of money all sorts of funding. This money is going to help so many companies and individuals in our community. And again, it's just, who would have thought last year that this is what was happening? And our community is strong. We're going to get through this. And we faced a recession in 2008. We got through it. We're going to get through this again.
I think you basically answered much of the next question, but maybe you
okay.
could give us a little bit more particulars.
Okay.
How much of a financial burden has the COVID-19 pandemic placed on Montgomery County?
Well, as I said, $30 million to our budget that's been hit. So what we've done, we immediately called for a freeze in hiring. We called for no more travel, nothing extra. We've cut so many of our grants for capital work that needed to be done on some of our buildings. You know, Montgomery County, we own a lot of buildings, and over the years, you know, a lot of them need new roofs, new plumbing, new this, new that. And, you know, we have slowly tried to keep up with that. So what we've done is we've looked, and we've only basically funding the most important things. So we've been very fortunate that all the other elected officials are also cooperating with us as far as not asking for anything extra. And we're just doing the best we can. Put a freeze on hiring, no travel, you know, cut some of the capital budget expenses, as well as we're not going to do our EDGE grants funding anymore. You know, the problem is you take from one, but then another thing needs it more. So, you know, we're wrestling with all sorts of things as far as what to cut. But we're going to get through this. And again, I have to repeat that thank heavens that the other elected officials are also supporting this too. So, and thank heavens again for that CARES Act money, because that is keeping us afloat.
Again, you've probably touched on most of this, but I would be interested in knowing what steps beyond budget cutting would be necessary to actually restore Montgomery County in the months ahead.
Okay, now could you repeat that? It kind of faded out there for a minute. I'm sorry. What was the steps for the future?
Yes, to go beyond the budget cutting and doing that, what do you see as going to be necessary for the county to be doing?
Well, you know, I think that we're just going to have to all stand together and think, again, I'm just going to have to go back to the CARES Act, and that is going to keep restaurants open. And that means if restaurants are open, people are going to come and you know, sit in the restaurants. And we are spending a ton of money on PPE as well as masks. And that PPE is basically your personal protection equipment, because we want to make sure that every single person is safe here in Montgomery County. Schools are starting to open. And so we're helping, you know, make sure that, that we help with preschool and the schools as far as getting them the Chromebooks. We're really putting a lot of money into that through the CARES Act, because it's so important that these kids get this education. And, you know, I just can't stress that enough. We're going to have to just get, and we will, we're going to pick ourselves up by the bootstraps, and we're going to take care of this. It's, and this is where you need someone with experience that knows how to handle these things. And because I was a commissioner during the Great Recession back in 2008, and we went through this, but we came out of it in like 2012 and 2013, and things were going great. And then boom, it happened again. It's like, but we've learned from the mistakes that we made in 2008, and we're not going to let that happen again. And I have to say that I've talked to our community development department, and they are still getting calls from companies that want to come in. They're hearing great things about the Dayton area, and they want to come in and take a look at us. So we are still in the process of getting companies coming in here. Thank heavens for 7075, because that is so great. We have so many distribution sites that want to come in. because you've got the airport there and you've got I-70-75. So that has been a godsend to us. And again, we have the base and all sorts of technical companies that are interested in coming in and working at the base. So, we are fortunate, and we're going to get through this. That's all I can say. I know we're going to get through this.
How important is community input to the decisions you make for the community?
Oh, absolutely. We went through a time in 2017 and 18 with the fact that we really had to increase our sales tax by 1/4%. And we called together the business community as well as citizens, and they dissected our budget. We talked to all the other elected officials and the community at large. We had several public hearings to get everyone's input. And because it was so necessary that we had to get a little bit of an increase in our budget to be able to do the things that we needed to do. And I think I talked about it. Just our buildings were, needed such repair. Plus infrastructure. You have to understand Montgomery County serves 200 and some thousand people with water and sewer. And those pipes have been underground for many, many years. And a lot of them are old and decaying, and we need to get in there and repair them. Well, that costs millions of dollars. So we have really had to work at that. And that, thank heavens that the community said, yes, you need to increase your sales tax. And we did that. And just about the time we were starting to see a little bit and starting to make headway, then the pandemic hit us. So it's, you wish for one thing and then something worse happened. So.
What do you think is the most effective way to reach out to your constituents on the issues that are facing Montgomery County?
Who would have thought social network and the internet? I mean, we do an awful lot of work on that, and we receive a lot of comments on our social network. We do press conferences quite frequently. We have public hearings. Our meetings, our county commission meetings, are because we can't. With the pandemic, we have Zoom meetings. So, but again, that's open on our website. So we do as much as we possibly can to get the word out to every single one about everything that's going on at the county. And they can always call us. We have a lot of people that, knock at our door and call us on the phone and send us letters. So, we have to keep that up.
All right. Thank you, Judy. In closing, we would like just a brief statement of what you would like your constituents to know about you. Just something brief that you haven't touched on already.
Oh, okay. Okay, again, I'm Judy Dodge, born and raised in the city of Dayton, attended Dayton Public Schools, graduated from the Wright State University, a very proud graduate of Wright State University. And I have 2 adult children now and 2 wonderful grandchildren, and they're the light of my life. And I'm just active all the time at work, never a dull moment, as I've talked about. And I have to say that I also have 2 wonderful, wonderful dogs that are my pride and joy. And when I come home every day from work, it's great to have them there to wag their tails and see me. And I just love our community. Never even thought about moving. And I've lived in different parts of Montgomery County over the years, and we just have a wonderful, great community. And I want to continue to be a county commissioner, and appreciate everybody's support.
Thank you for your participation today. Good luck in your campaign. The League of Women Voters encourages all candidates to run an issues-oriented campaign. Our goal is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. Look for the League's voter guide in libraries and on your doorsteps the week of October 12th. Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. Early voting begins October 6th at the Board of Elections, or you can request an application for an absentee ballot. However you decide to vote, your opinion matters and helps make democracy work. So please vote. Hello, I am Beth Schaefer, member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I'm here today with candidates running for the office of Montgomery County Commissioner. There are two candidates running for one open seat. Those candidates are Deborah Lieberman, the incumbent, and Bob Matthews. Unfortunately, Mr. Matthews, a candidate for this position, is unable to be here because of a prior commitment. So I'd like to start the interview today by having our candidate tell us about herself and why she chose to serve in the position as Montgomery County Commissioner.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today. So a little bit about me. I moved to Dayton to attend the University of Dayton School of Law. And after graduation, I decided to stay here and got married and had children. And I started my career in public service. Started legal aid, and then I went to work for Montgomery County. And I love public service, and I was able to move up in my positions with the county. And while I was doing that in the county auditor's office, I was elected to Clayton City Council and loved being on city council. And then an opportunity came up for an open seat on county commission, and I ran for that and I won. And I love what I do. When people ask what my top priorities are, I've always, had certain ones every couple of years. And right now, those priorities have kind of shifted. Our priority right now is to manage this pandemic. And one of the things that this virus has exposed is the great inequities in our community, not just our community, but throughout the whole country. And some of the things that I'm going to continue to work on beyond what we're doing with the pandemic and our CARES dollars and helping our citizens will be economic recovery that we know we're going to need to do, job and workforce development, really looking and trying to help solve the digital divide that's become very apparent, and continue the work that I do on generational poverty. And then one of the big things that we had been really working on for a year or so, but then it was really brought to light just recently, is the systemic and institutional racism. And we want to be sure that the county, first of all, is doing what we need to be doing, but then we want to look at our community as well. Another big issue this year is our budget. We've already cut $30 million because of the pandemic, and we know that it's going to just keep on next year probably. So we're working through that. We're going to continue to work on the opioid crisis. We were doing really well. Numbers were coming down, and now through the pandemic, we have seen a spike. So with all that, we still have tornado recovery we're working on, and keeps us pretty busy. But, our frayed safety net, our safety net's always been fragile, and now it's frayed. So I want to keep continuing and doing the work I do in that.
Well, obviously, you are well aware that as a county commissioner, you have many duties that range from utilities to zoning, communications, community planning, and creating budgets. How did you prepare for this position to be part of, or which part of this is most important to you?
Well, good government's most important to me. And I think I prepared for this probably from the time I was a child. My parents were both very active, not only in politics, but in public service. My mother worked for the mayor of Indianapolis. My father actually worked for President Reagan and President Bush in DC. So I grew up and I around politics and government. And I knew from a very young age, that's what I wanted to do. So going to law school and then my jobs after that all were kind of leading me to an elected position. I didn't know it would be county commissioner. I never really thought that's what I wanted to do. But once I realized what the job is and how we affect lives every single day, it's been great.
And I believe that you've already mentioned, but maybe you could be a little more specific about how how much of a financial burden the COVID-19 pandemic has placed on Montgomery County.
Well, yeah, thank you. We already know we have to cut $30 million this year. That's between now and January. Our other elected officials in the county have been real understanding, of course, about that. As far as how much it's already cost us, we, aside from the budget cuts, we've spent so much money because the federal government gave us CARES Act dollars. And so we have been, since the day that money hit our treasury, we've been working on things that are going to help our community and help keep their heads above water, but also lift them up. And so we started with the small business grants. We moved on to rental assistance and mortgage assistance. We are now, we're also doing nonprofit assistance and education assistance. And then this next week, we're going to look at how we can help our farmers. And so, we as a county got $92 million. Now, we can't keep any of that to fill our budget. So that money we need to get out to our community. So we've been working very hard on that. Judy, Carolyn, and I established the CARES Act office that's working diligently with other community partners to get that money out. So, we don't know how long it's gonna affect us. We are asking the federal government to give us flexibility so that we can use some of that direct dollars that came to the county to backfill our budget. But as of now, they don't want to let counties do that, or states. So.
What maybe non-financial actions will be necessary to restore or maintain Montgomery County in the future?
Well, non-monetary, I think just communication. We saw during the tornado recovery, which we're still in, but I think communication with people, making sure that they know where to go to do things, who's out there to help. Those are some big people they don't know. And so, I still am finding every time I talk to a small business owner that they don't even know about our grants yet. So we're trying to communicate. I think that's a big thing. And I think also just trying to put a positive attitude out there that, we are all in this together. I know it's said a lot, but it's really true. We don't know when this is going to end. And we want to make sure that our community is staying safe. Our children are getting educated. People have jobs that are living wage. And so all those things are still ongoing. We're still bringing jobs here. We just announced 1,500 jobs last week. And so those things have to continue, the work that we're doing in workforce development and making connections for people. So the county government never stopped through the pandemic, and we're still going every day.
I want to ask you, how important is community input in the decisions you make for the community? And how best will you reach out to your constituents on the issues that are facing Montgomery County?
I don't think that our citizens are shy. Whenever there's an issue that comes up, we hear from people. We also, over the years, have really tried to get out in the community and have not necessarily town halls, but when we do something, we like to get community feedback. And so this next year, we have a round of those planned again, where we will be out asking the community to come tell us what they want. It's really interesting. I think back to when we did this, we called it MCO Future a while back, and people come to the meeting and, they want to talk about their trash and they want to talk about things that your city governments do. And so it's a lot of education. I think we in the league, of course, that's, you guys do a great job with that, but that's what I think we all have to continue to help people understand what their government does for them, why it's so important. I like to tell people that the cities and our townships, they kind of do the on the ground things, your police, your fire, your trash, and zoning and other things like that. And, we're very broad, but, human services and the things that we do, there is a distinction. And sometimes people don't know that they may not care, but they, so it's education, but we want to hear from people. And we have all the commissioners and the county, all of our departments. We have a big social media presence. We're always pushing things out, and so we hear feedback from that. So it's a combination of how we hear from people and how we get the word out.
All right, and we'd like to give you an opportunity in closing to let us know something that you haven't already told us about yourself that you'd like us to know.
That I haven't already talked about. Well, every day is a challenge as a commissioner. And what we've noticed with the CARES Act is we knew, but we really have seen disparities. And so I want to continue to work on that. I want to continue. I'm running again to continue the work I do as a champion in so many areas. I'm not finished with the work I do for our returning citizens. Along with Judge Walter Rice, we lead our Office of Ex-Offender Reentry. And we are, I'm not going to say we are the best in the state. Our numbers, our results as far as recidivism goes. So I want to continue my work there. I'm not finished with the work I do for workforce development. I am the chief elected official, not only for the county, but for 43 of Ohio counties in Area 7. And so, I want to continue. Workforce development is so important, and it's especially going to be important as people kind of after the Great Recession, we're going to have people that are going to be trained in new jobs. We know that. So I'm going to keep working on that. I'm not finished with the work I do as chair of our infant mortality task force. Infant mortality is such it's a big issue nationwide, but for some reason, Ohio, because of the racial disparity, we're really seeing horrible numbers for infant mortality. So we want to keep working on that and make sure that mothers are educated, grandmothers are educated, and know how to keep that baby safe till they're a year old. And I'm also not finished with the work I'm doing on Preschool Promise. I am the county's champion for our Preschool Promise effort. And through that effort, we know that it's working because we've been doing it for so long now that we can see the kids as they progress. And so we want to make sure that every child in Montgomery County is ready for kindergarten through Preschool Promise. And I didn't even talk about our green initiatives, but we're going to keep working on that. We have a great program, our green initiative. And then I'm excited for many new opportunities that we have coming. We have a Young Men's Leadership Academy in the west side of Dayton. We're opening up a Westtown Center on Westtown. And all of these things are really, we're committed to because we said a month ago, I've lost all track in COVID. 2 months ago, we've declared as a commission that racism is a public health crisis in our community. So those are things that we've worked on, but now we're going to be laser focused on some things that make sense so that we can help stop institutional racism, systemic racism in our community. And so we'll be busy. We'll be busy this next 4 years. I hope that the citizens return me to this position. And I just want to say thank you to the league for everything you guys do and for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you for your participation today. Good luck in your campaign. The League of Women Voters encourages all candidates to run an issues-oriented campaign. Our goal is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. Look for the League's voter guide in libraries and on your doorsteps the week of October 12th. Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. Early voting begins October 6th at the Board of Elections, or you can request an application for an absentee ballot. However you decide to vote, your opinion matters and helps make democracy work. So please vote.
am Joe Lovelace Hill, member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I'm here today with Bob Matthews, who is running for the office of the Montgomery County Commissioner. There are two candidates running for the one open seat. Those candidates are Deborah Lieberman and Bob Matthews. Today, I'm interviewing Bob Matthews. Hello, Mr. Matthews.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm fine. We will start today by asking you to do an open statement regarding why you want to serve in the position of the Montgomery County Commissioner.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for doing this. It's very difficult, especially in these times, for people to get information. So this is very helpful to our community. Thank you. Hello, my name is Bob Matthews, and I'm running for Montgomery County Commissioner. I've lived in Montgomery County for over 40 years. I have a degree in electrical engineering and a master's degree in computing science from Texas A&M University. Most of my life in the county has been in the business and technical world. However, I have also served as a Miami Township trustee. So I have a lot of technical and business experience, but I also know how to run local government. However, I am not a professional politician like our current county commissioners.
Thank you. The
Oh,
duties of county commissioners are numerous, from utilities to zoning, communications, community planning, and creating budgets. How does one prepare for this position, and what part of this position is most important to you?
well, all the parts of the position are important. I know in the past that the commissioners have somewhat divided up the responsibilities of the county because the county is so big and there are so many areas. And so my main interest would be anything related to technical or project management or finance, because those are all areas I'm very strong in. As far as how do people prepare, well, it's a combination, I think, of good business, people skills, and knowledge of government. And so as a result, I've worked in business for 20 or 30 years and know how to run things efficiently, how to manage well. I've had project management roles. So all those things help prepare. But I've also, as I said, worked as a township trustee for Miami Township. And that was involving, we had a $20 million annual budget there. So that experience prepares me, I think, for this particular role as the county commissioner.
Okay, thank you. How much of a financial burden has COVID-19 placed on Montgomery County? What actions will be necessary to restore or maintain Montgomery County in the months ahead?
Well, it's hard to know yet the total impact, since the county gets a significant amount of its income from sales tax and from property taxes. I'm hoping property taxes will pretty much be the same. Of course, with the recent appraisal, property taxes will be going up as long as everyone can afford to pay them after they've been unemployed for so long. Unfortunately, sales tax is going to see a huge drop off. For example, a big part of the sales tax comes in from car sales, and auto sales are down substantially this year as people have not been able to get out and get them, been out to shop, and also are uncertain about their financial situation. In fact, general uncertainty on individuals' financial situation has caused people to reduce all kinds of spending. So I expect to see a big drop there in the income tax income coming into the county. What do we do about that? Well, we're going to have to see what the final situation is. But as whether that we have the drop off or not, my feelings are still the same. We need to use our money efficiently, and we need to be effective in what we do. Efficiently means you spend the money effectively in a good manner, a worthwhile manner. But more important, that is effectiveness. We need to be sure that our money is being spent on the most important things, and things that are not as important need to be pushed down in the priority. But I am also very concerned that even when things were good, our county commissioners allowed us to we're now paying $7 million a year in interest. There's no need for that. And if that money had not been spent on interest, we would be in better shape for this preparation. So again, there's a failure of the current commission to do the best for us financially that they could do.
So, Bob Matthews, how important is community input to the decisions you make for the community? And how will you reach out to your constituents on issues facing Montgomery County?
Well, of course, the input is essential. Now, you can run without input from the community, which is how the current commission's done. They raise the income tax. They raise the sales tax, and without allowing the voters to express their interest in that. They also raise the lodging tax, affecting communities even outside downtown Dayton that would be helpful to use that money for the convention center. Again, there was no input from the community. In contrast, the model I'm following for my campaign is the same model I would follow after I'm in office. Right now, I have a core team that's helping me understand the needs of the community. Both of the three people on my core team live in the city of Dayton, which is essential. It's essential that we get Dayton where it needs to be. So I would be definitely looking for input from all the businesses and all the individuals on how we should mitigate this. And I think even the county commissioners should step up and make some sacrifices themselves. If there has to be cuts in other areas, I think the commissioners should step up and take cuts in their salary. I'd be willing to do that to help out the community at this particular time.
Thank you. That was your last question. We will now allow you to have an opportunity to do a closing statement.
Okay. I have a new vision to rebuild Montgomery County, which has 4 parts. Faith, which is faith, family, finances, and future. Faith, because divine help is needed for the tough situation we're currently facing. Family, because strong families will strengthen Montgomery County. Finance, because Montgomery County has many struggling families. And future, because fresh leadership means a better future for you. Our current commissioners have been in office for 14 and 16 years, respectively. As a result, they have now settled into a routine which involves little to no innovation or improvements for our county. Our current commissioners have lost touch with our businesses, our average working citizen, and our financially struggling residents. In contrast, I have daily contact with people in all these areas, and I'm better qualified to bring new ideas that will reach all the people of Montgomery County. I would appreciate your vote for me on November 3rd. You can get more information from my website, www.bob4cc.com. Vote for Bob, the rebuilder. Let's rebuild our county together. Thank you, and thank you, League of Women Voters.
Thank you for your participation today. Good luck in your campaign. The League of Women Voters encourages all candidates to run an issues-oriented campaign. Our goal is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. Look for the League's voter guide in libraries and on your doorsteps the week of October the 12th. Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. Early voting begins October the 6th at your Board of Elections, or you can request an absentee ballot. However you decide to vote, your opinion matters and help make our democracy work.
Hello, I am Beth Schaefer, a member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I'm here today with candidates running for the office of Montgomery County Treasurer. There are 2 candidates running for the 1 open spot. These candidates are Russ Joseph, the incumbent, and John McManus. Unfortunately, Mr. McManus, a candidate for this position, regrets that he is unable to be present at this time because of a prior commitment. So we will start our interview by having our candidate tell us about himself and why he chose or wants to continue to serve in the position as Montgomery County Treasurer.
Thank you. My name is Russ Joseph, and it's been my pleasure to serve as the Montgomery County Treasurer for the past year and a half. My first job, my first public sector job was actually in the Treasurer's office nearly 20 years ago. So it's been great to return to the office as Treasurer to be able to serve the community. You know, one of the main roles of Treasurer is to collect property taxes, and which fund our local schools, our community services. So one of the first things I did as Treasurer was to really dig in and make sure that we're doing everything possible to collect every possible tax dollar for our community. And we had a lot of success. Last year was the best collection year for the county for property taxes in nearly 20 years. So we were very happy about that. I also identified a need for us to improve customer service, especially in regards to the using of the latest in technology. Our payment website was very outdated, did not offer the level of user services that people are used to and customer service wise. So we launched a new payment website just this summer, doubled the number of users online. Nearly 22,000 people paid their taxes online this summer. So that's been a success as well. But I look forward to continuing to move our office forward and to provide the best possible customer service that we can in the office.
Okay. Well, obviously, most people equate the county treasurer with tax bills and collecting overpayments and handling foreclosures. What do you see the upside of being a county treasurer to be?
The upside, you know, you're certainly not everyone's favorite person around tax time, but you know, I think that there's a big role for this office in the county. And as treasurer, I'm also a member of the land bank in Montgomery County. So, you know, we're doing a lot of work with the land bank to reposition properties, and my goal is to get them to be a little more aggressive in addressing the vacant properties that our community faces, so many of our neighborhoods. And we need to do more to tackle it. And that's, you know, why I sponsored a new $6 million program with the land bank that will go into our neighborhoods, work with them to take down properties, take down vacant and abandoned properties that are really plaguing our neighborhoods and keeping them from succeeding. So I think, you know, there's the role of treasurer, there's the collecting the tax dollars, but there's also the role in the community that the treasurer can play to really help us move forward.
Well, thank you for that information. But we'd also like to ask you, you know, with all the financial losses that Montgomery County has experienced during the pandemic, what would be some of the recommendations to increase funding or to cut costs that you would specifically like to see implemented?
You know, as far as the programs to fund or cost, that's really the commissioners that control that. What I can do as treasurer is make sure we're doing everything possible to collect those tax dollars. And we just came through our second half property tax collection and really had, despite everything that we're going through, a very successful collection. We still have, still working on the final numbers, but certainly did not see a big drop in property tax collections. So that's been good news for us and our community and the services that we provide. You know, we did everything we could to work with taxpayers who are going through obviously a difficult time because of the pandemic, whether it be from health issues or economic, and work with folks on setting up payment plans that needed them. We were able to extend the payment due date a month for all taxpayers in Montgomery County, just because it's been so overwhelming, the pandemic. So, you know, we're continuing to do everything we can to work with folks. We don't want to leave anyone behind. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to collect those tax dollars, but also realize that there are other things going on in people's lives and making sure we're doing everything we can to help them out.
Is there anything specific or anything extra that you would like your office to do to improve the current practices within the office?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's always things to improve on. You know, we've really focused on customer service this year. I think there's things we can continue to do and make investments that for so long maybe haven't been made because of the initial dollars up front, but new programs and new ways of making our office efficient by using technology. So I think that, we've begun to utilize some of those platforms with our new payment site, for example. There's a new site we've been using during the pandemic where people can sign up for an appointment. They can call in or do it online and make an appointment to visit with folks in our office, so they don't necessarily have to come down to talk with us. They could do it over the phone. So we're trying to come up with ways as much as possible that we can be flexible and that we can meet people where they are in trying to deal with their situation. So we'll continue to do that. But yeah, there's definitely always ways that we can continue to get better.
Thank you. Well, in closing, we'd like to provide you with an opportunity to make a closing statement, to briefly tell us something that you would like us to know about yourself that you haven't had an opportunity to share already.
Sure. No, I appreciate it. First of all, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to our taxpayers and our voters in Montgomery County, and I appreciate the work of the League of Women Voters that they do all year long around voter education and everything else. So appreciate the work that you guys do. It's been an honor to serve as treasurer, and I'm proud of the work that we've accomplished in this short amount of time that I've had in office. In my role as tax collector, I've been able to lead the county to our best tax collection in 20 years. As my role as chief investment officer for the county, we've increased our investment income by 37% in 1 year, and our current portfolio is now over $580 million. So those are dollars that really can come in handy when you're talking about the county commissioners making choices on what programs to fund and not. Those dollars make a big difference. So we've been very successful in that. I've helped our property owners deal with crisis and tragedy by offering extended tax due dates and really allowing them to focus on putting their lives back together. So I believe now more than ever, we need strong leadership at all levels of government. And I'm asking for your support this November so that I can continue to put my experience to work for the taxpayers of Montgomery County. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve, and I hope I've earned your support for a full term on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you for your participation today. Good luck in your campaign. The League of Women Voters encourages all candidates to run an issues-oriented campaign. Our goal is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. Look for the League's voter guide in libraries and on your doorsteps the week of October 12th. Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. Early voting begins October 6th at the Board of Elections, or you can request an application for an absentee ballot. However you decide to vote, your opinion matters and helps make democracy work. So please vote.
Hello, I am Joe Lovelace Hill, a member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I'm here today with candidate Zach Dickerson, who's running for the office of Montgomery County Clerk of the Court of Common Pleas. There are two candidates running for one open seat. Those candidates are Zach Dickerson and Mike Foley. Mr. Mike Foley, a candidate for this position, regrets that he could not be here because of a prior commitment. Mr. Dickerson, let's start by you telling us something about yourself and why you want to serve in the position of Montgomery County Clerk of the Courts of Common Pleas.
Well, thank you for having me here, Joe. And thanks to the folks at home for watching, because I know this is not a high-profile race, but the Clerk of Courts serves an important function in county government. The clerk is responsible for the day-to-day operations of our court system. Every day, the clerk goes to work to support the judges that you elect and the attorneys that practice in front of them. And a key way that the clerk does that is by management of some legal technology that's used in the day-to-day operation of the court. That includes Tibera, the e-filing system that allows attorneys to send documents electronically to the court, and CourtView, the case management system that tracks all of the ongoing cases, critical pieces of technology. And if those systems are not looked after, there can be serious consequences, like the cyber attack that happened to the court in May. So understanding all of that, I think it's really important that somebody in this job has a background in technology, and I do. In addition to being a licensed attorney, I've been working at one of the largest legal technology companies in the world for the last 10 years. Don't let the young face fool you. I am 40 years old. I've been doing this a long time. This is work that I love, and that's why I decided to enter this race.
Thank you. What made you decide to run for Montgomery County Clerk of Court? And what experience or experiences do you bring to this position?
Well, I touched on that a little bit in the opening. Having a background in technology and law is really important for the clerk of courts. And I wish Mr. Foley were here. I know he said he had a prior commitment. Apparently he had a prior commitment in 2018 because he did not attend this event then either. The clerk of courts is not, the office is not being run well right now. There are a number of changes that I would make if I were to come in. There are a lot of opportunities for technology improvement. So as one example, we have a citation system. So if you're issued a traffic ticket, there's a technology that's out there that we don't use that allows the officers to send that electronically to the court. But right now, the way that it works in Montgomery County is a physical piece of paper has to be delivered from the police officers to the court to have that ticket resolved. That's wildly inefficient because they put it into the computer at the police office, take it to the court, and then one of the clerk employees has to type it up and put it back into a computer. I'd like to change that. I think that would save us some money and time. So there are a lot of opportunities. I mentioned the cyber attack that happened. We need somebody with a background in technology that will prevent something like that from happening again. There's just a lot that the clerk does that my background directly applies to. Everything I have done in my professional life for the last 10 years has prepared me to do this job.
The second question is a two-part question. I'll read both parts. If you want me to read it again, I will. There are many duties assigned to a clerk of court. What is the most important duty of that office? And what will you most enjoy about being clerk of courts?
So give me the first part again. There are many duties.
There are many duties assigned to a clerk of court. What is the most important duty of that office?
Well, I hate to keep going back to this, but really is management of the day-to-day operations of the courthouse that allows our judicial system to function. And that is really where Mr. Foley has fallen down. If you look at what's happened since he's been in office over the last 2 years. What would I enjoy most about this job? Like I said, I'm a nerd. I'll be the first to admit it. And a lot of people don't know what the clerk does because it's not terribly interesting work for most people. But like I said, this is a field that I have been in for my entire professional career, law and legal technology. It's all I've ever done. And so being in that environment is really what interests me. So that's why everything about this job is something that I want to do.
Thank you. Accuracy and efficiency are obviously very important to the efficiency of this office. What changes and or improvements will you make to the clerk of courts?
Well, I mentioned one of them, creating the new e-citation system so that we can cut out some of the paperwork that the clerk's employees have to do. Additionally, outside of the things that are done in the clerk's office, there are other opportunities for the clerk to serve the community. So as an example, having been to law school, I understand that as a law student, one of the most valuable things that you can get is on-the-job, hands-on experience. So I reached out to the University of Dayton Law School, and I said, is there any kind of a formal program that connects the University of Dayton Law School students with practitioners in our area? And they said, well, kind of, but not really. That's something that I would like to create, because not only does it help the law students at the University of Dayton, if students intern with people here in town, they're more likely to stay here versus going off to Chicago or New York or somewhere else. If they can build a foundation, make the connections, network, and put roots down here, those people stay here, and that's good for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Dickerson, in closing, we would like to provide you the opportunity to give a closing statement.
Thank you. I wasn't sure where your questions were going to go today. There were a lot of things that I wanted to talk about to be able to tell you. It is important for me, given the political environment that we're in, that is so divided, and how our country, the partisanship has really torn us apart. I want to run a positive campaign, but it is important for me to give information to voters so that they know who they're electing. And there, like I said, have been some serious problems in the clerk's office under Mr. Foley. So the cyber attack that I mentioned, it happened in May. The judges were affected by this as well, because they use these same pieces of technology in the court. And after it happened, after a month of watching Mr. Foley mishandle the situation, the judges unanimously signed this letter and sent it to him. In this letter, the judges demanded that Mr. Foley bring them a list of 3 vendors so that they could pick one to do a technology audit of his office to get to the bottom of what happened and prevent it from happening again. Because the judges don't trust Mr. Foley to do his job. And I think this letter tells you everything you need to know about how to vote in this race. The judges in the court, the people that work with Mr. Foley, that see how he runs his office and are with him every single day, do not have confidence in him. At the very end of this letter, they included a line that let him know if he didn't comply, they would issue a formal administrative order on the record to compel him to do so. This is a critical job in county government. The clerk serves a very important role. We need someone that has the experience and the background to do the job right. And right now, the judges don't have confidence in Mike Foley, and the voter shouldn't either. You deserve better than what you're getting in the clerk's office, and I have the background and experience necessary to do this job right. That's why I'd like to ask for your vote in November.
Thank you. Thank you for your participation today. Good luck in your campaign. The League of Women Voters encourages all candidates to run an issues-oriented campaign. Our goal is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. Look for the League's voter guide in the libraries and on your doorsteps the week of October 12th. Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. Early voting begins October 6th at your Board of Elections, or you can request an absentee ballot. However you decide to vote, your opinion matters and helps make our democracy work.